All right, so here we are again, round two. Round two. Here we are again.
Yes.
Back for another adventure
Yes.
in the world of podcastery.
Yes.
Sounds like a branch of sorcery, doesn't it? I'm a podcasterian. I don't know. Anyway, carry on. Let's go. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
You said you were coming in with an intro.
That was the intro.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help you out.
Oh, right. Thank you. I need it. Okay. Well, earlier you asked me to write down something about Operation Awareness. So
dear.
what does that mean? I don't even know what it means yet, but
Okay.
you're going to explain it to me now and us now.
All right. Yes, boss. Okay. So, Operation Awareness. Now, the whole point of what we do in the world of mysticism, in the world of cultivation, is to awaken to what we really are. That's the objective, that's the aim, that's the lifestyle. Once you awaken to what you really are, you learn to live from that place. Some people use the term truth, and that's important to contemplate or to consider this idea of truth. First of all, it starts out as an idea. You don't really know what it is. So if you are seeking truth, where are you? If you are seeking to be in the truth, to grasp the truth, to contact truth, to come to know the truth, then where are you at that point? You either are, or you may believe yourself to be somewhere that is not the truth, i.e. in a lie or a deception. So you have not yet come to grasp the truth. The whole point of the mystical lifestyle and the lifestyle of cultivation is to find the truth, to uncover the truth, to know the truth, and then to live from the truth. The reason I thought the reason that it is important to bring this up is because anyone who is trying to approach this path needs to know that that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're doing when you wake up in the day. Do I know the truth? Have I uncovered the truth of my existence yet? Do I know why I exist? Do I know why life exists?
Mm-hmm.
Do I know the truth about death? Do I know the truth about ego and identity? Do I know the truth about awakening and how far that goes, how far it can go? Do I know the truth about the energy of mind and body? This is a question that anyone can ask themselves. These are questions that anyone can ask themselves every day when they wake up. If you have any missing elements to that, if there is any unclarity, if there is any confusion around any of those questions, then your day's work is laid out in front of you. You now know what to inquire into.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people get stuck because, okay, they do their meditation, they kind of hover around the idea of spiritual cultivation, not really grasping why. What's the point in it all?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it going? What do you do with it?
Yeah.
So Operation Awareness is just two words that I gave to this point, this important point, that every mystic on the planet right now has the same objective. They have the same mind. That being that in their own personal experience of life, they continue to cultivate mind, body, life to evolve towards greater peace, joy, happiness, freedom, enlightenment, deeper and deeper truth. That, combined with a recognition of a need on a collective level for more and more people who are beginning to inquire, who want to inquire, and not only that, but it's a necessary step for the human evolution. That's our next step to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
So every mystic on the planet is cultivating the same objective: Operation Awareness. Spread awareness, introduce people to awareness, cultivate the energy of pure mind in one body, in two bodies, in 8 billion bodies on the planet, human beings everywhere. Awaken to awareness. If you know that that's what you're doing, you wake up each day with total clarity. Clear, totally clear. There's no confusion about what do I do today, where am I at, where am I not at, what am I supposed to be doing. Have you yet come into contact with absolute reality? Do you know what it is, without a shadow of a doubt? If not, then raise this question of what is it? Where are we looking throughout our day in our cultivation, in awareness, as awareness, peering deeply into presence with this contemplation in mind. What is this? What is this?
Mm-hmm.
What is happening here? What is this life? There are many different questions people use. Who am I? What am I? What is this? What is absolute reality? But you're not intellectually trying to answer that question, you're looking for the answer.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not yet come into contact with the answer to that question, that's the same question as what is God? What is life? What is this, essentially? What is happening here? You look for the answer and you see the answer. You don't understand it,
Mm-hmm.
you see the answer. So if there is any confusion or doubt in anyone's experience, then okay, they must peer deeper, peer more deeply into this that is happening, that is unfolding. And it is one's own personal experience of life beyond the intellectual understanding. It's experiential.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very clear for anyone and everyone who is either cultivating, has reached a certain point in their cultivation and has gotten a bit confused about where does it go from here, or what am I supposed to have realized, or what do I do with this now, or somebody who is wanting to come to cultivate. This is the mind that awakens each and every day. Present, aware. And you could turn that into whatever you want, transforming one's own experience of life into a more wonderful and beautiful and shared and loving experience when one encounters the suffering and confusion and misery of oneself or the world, so one's individual psychology or the psychology of the world, then that is transformed into a relaxation and a peace and a connectedness and a sharing of love and intimacy. It's a little bit further down the track. Anyway, that's essentially the little kind of pointer or message for what Operation Awareness is and why it's very, very important to get super duper clear that that is what you're bloody doing. That's what you're doing. If anyone asks you, what is it about? Or you wonder, or you're a bit confused about, am I doing the right thing? Am I making progress?
Yeah.
Just look at those few questions. Do I know absolute reality yet? Well, I think I do, but I'm not sure. No, that's not it. I thought I had an experience once upon. No, that's not it. If you can't see it unfolding right now in your experience with absolute clarity, it's not the real deal. Okay, anyway, so I don't know if that clears something up for someone, but it was something that came up at the time, and I thought at the time it was going to be an important thing to raise.
Yeah, well, we were, I think, talking about me at the time, and, when you're on this cultivation journey, it goes like this. Like 1 minute you're feeling like you're doing really well, and then the next minute you just feel on shaky ground. You don't know what you're doing. You're feeling lost. So I think we had that talk about you wake up and you do basically your practices, and then kind of where you're going. Like it's clear where you're going.
Sure.
Because you know what you need to do.
The practices are there to help focus you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also important, we're seeing people delve into, we're calling it like new age spirituality or shallow spirituality.
Modern spirituality.
Yeah, modern spirituality,
although that's not a really
our
good way to put
healing journey. We're healing our traumas.
Sure.
And it's kind of like I look at that, and I was doing that. I was doing that previously, and it was like, well, where does this go? Where does it lead? What is the end goal of that?
What's different from your point of view now? What are you experiencing here that's different to what you were doing before?
There was just a lot of confusion about where to go. Like you see tarot readings and astrology to teach you about where you are, and you're learning about generational trauma, and it's like, go here, heal your trauma. This is what you need to do to manifest this. And
this was in the past.
This was in the past. So no one's really directing people back towards themselves. Like it's all within you, because I feel like spirituality online has become a money making. It's become corrupt. It's corrupted. I think we've talked a little bit about that before.
Sure.
So I guess for people that have...
It's full of ideas. Modern spirituality is full of ideas.
Yeah.
And ideas are not reality.
No.
So what's reality? You want to get to the root of the problem. Everyone's looking for it. You go seeking. What do you go seeking? Truth. Spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening cannot be separate from reality. Clearly. If there is a reality, an awakening on a spiritual capacity must be to awaken to the reality of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's some false creation. Again, if it's not reality, it's not real. It's the whole, that's the definition of reality.
Yeah, like
Spiritual awakening must awaken you to reality. So what is reality then is the question. That's the only question you need to ask. So where do you look?
yeah.
Where do you look to find reality? That's a very important question.
Right here, right now.
Well, okay. Let's break it down. Everything that has ever happened to you in your life has happened right here, right now. This experience that is unfolding right now becomes a memory. And you have 1,000 memories. But the origin of every single memory is right here. It started here. Every single one of those experiences unfolded right here. Okay, so memories is in the past. Memories is what now used to be. So forget memory.
That's what everyone's going on these healing journeys.
Trying to cure the past.
The past, yeah.
Okay, so, all right, we're breaking it down, reality. So first of all, get here. Step one, get here. All right?
So much easier said than
Nothing to do with the past. Also, obviously, nothing to do with the future. Let's kill those two right now because the future is just an idea of what you think now is going to become. So it's not that either.
Doesn't exist.
What is actually happening right now? Well, it's this. And when I say this, there's a billion things you could say about right now that's happening. Infinite, actually. There are infinite things happening now. So we're not talking about the infinite number of things. We're not talking about labeling the infinite number of things. We're talking about being here. So you want to know what reality is, but you won't stay here. Now, I'm not saying that here is reality. That's another question. We'll get to that in a second. But what happens when you stay here? We've forgotten about the past. We've forgotten about the future. So now we're going to get very comfortable right here. There is something occurring right now that's undeniable. Okay, so you don't know if the past is real. You don't know if the future is real. We're not dealing with that. But there is something happening right now. Clearly, we are sharing this experience. So you can kind of hold on to that a little bit. You're going seeking reality. Well, there's something happening right now. What happens when you stay with that thing that's happening right now? When you stay there and you don't leave it. Okay, you leave it at that. For a seeker, you introduce them to here, and then you leave them there. Stay here.
It's
Why?
very powerful.
Are you getting emotional?
Yeah, because it's powerful.
Because it's real.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's the real deal. It's not a past. It's not a future. It's experiential. But the question is, and this is the difference between a cultivator and a pretender.
Yeah.
A pretender, you okay?
Yeah.
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 A pretender touches now for a fraction of a second and then goes, okay, so I'm pretty sure that now means etc., etc., etc. Now means all of the things that are going on all over the world, and it's the cosmos, and it's okay, they've just entered into their thoughts again about the now. A cultivator, a mystic, someone who is mystically inclined, who wants to know mysticism, wants to live in the now permanently, fully intimate with the now. Now, all of the energies of life are in the now. And so if you're there, you're becoming intimate with life. And that's where the mystical journey begins. That's where it starts. You get very familiar with the now and what it means to be there, intimate with that experience. And in that, from that point of view, is witness of an entirety of oneness. And that's all there is. All of life unfolding. And it's not even, from your point of view, it's not necessary to label it anymore because it's a silent, it brings you into a space of just total witness. There's no commentary. There's no need for commentary. And even if there is a psychological commentary, that's just something else you're watching. That's not you. It's something else you're aware of.
Yeah.
What was the question? Shallow spirituality.
Yeah.
Okay, so where was the tarot? Where was the astrology reading? Where was the past karma, past trauma, dealing with the past? No, forget it. Come here now.
Yeah.
Think into it. My teachers, one of my teachers' favorite offerings of instruction was, when it's right, it's like sinking into a warm bath. Okay, and that's just a little bit of a visual in the sense of there's a relaxation into the now.
There was a piece like just before when we had that moment of now, the like the suffering that goes on in my mind.
In your brain.
Yeah, in my brain, yes. Yeah, it's like that just stopped.
It does stop.
Yeah, and I felt really peaceful. I think that's why I got emotional, because it was just so nice.
Well, that's wonderful. One of the most beautiful elements of Buddhism that I took on is a term called stopping and seeing, which is how some Buddhist monks have completely condensed the entirety of the Buddhist practice. Stopping and seeing. Stopping. We go on chasing ego, dreams, identities, or running even from the past. So the practice is to just stop and see what's happening. Stop and witness and abide as the witness.
Mm-hmm.
And watch the deviation into thinking, into psychology, often carried away by thinking. It's like that for a long time.
Yes.
But after a very deep crystallization of presence, which occurs naturally, some traditional schools of mysticism refer to an alchemical process, because there's a refinement that goes on. It's a process. You come to contact presence and it has an effect, and then you return, learning to abide in presence more fully, tuning into the energy of presence, cultivating it, living with it, and it really transforms your whole experience of what it means to be a being. And that's tremendously deep. All mystical experience occurs in that place. And there are varying levels of mystical experience, what are commonly defined as mystical experiences, although it's absolutely defined by a connection with, some people call it God, or the true source of life, and an intimate knowing of that force within oneself, within one's own experience, as not separate and not distant, not away from you, never lost, never losable, in fact, but often clouded by lots of perceptions and beliefs and things like that. But it starts to get too complicated. All anyone needs to know who is wanting to cultivate is come home to the now, stay at home for a while, just learn to be there. That's it. That's what the practice is for. Yoga, Kung Fu, Qigong, walking meditation, sitting meditation, to just be in total awareness of what is happening. And all of the questions around reality, life, death, God, good, evil, bad, right, wrong, identity, self, all of those questions are seen into. All of those concepts and principles and qualities of life are seen into in awareness. So anyway, I don't know, did we get onto something there? Again, shallow spirituality.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of shallow spirituality.
Yeah, shallow spirituality is directing you either like forward
It's
or
just
backward.
full of ideas.
Yeah.
It's just ideas.
And no one's really
Imaginings.
talking about, people encourage people to meditate, sit down for 5-10 minutes a day. That's not where the reality lies. It's like it's happening constantly.
It's like, there's nothing wrong with like meditating 5 or 10 minutes a day. If somebody who is suffering from some kind of maybe overactive thinking or depression or whatever, anxiety, or even if they're just curious, give them a little bit, introduce them a little bit. Sitting for 5 minutes and 10 minutes is it's going to help you.
Yeah.
And but to think that that's what meditation, or that's the ultimate application of the meditation process, that's just not true. It's a tremendously powerful and very deep practice. In fact, it becomes a lifestyle when you go as deep as you can into it, because meditation introduces you to the true identity of life. And so when you get there, You're always meditating from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
You're always watching. You are the witness.
Cool.
Anything else?
Good one. Well, so say you are someone that's cultivating and you have an experience that deepens your awakening. And the people around you, your teachers, the online spiritual community, you've basically gone to the limit of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go from there?
Forward.
Forward.
Keep going forward.
Don't go back.
So, well, you can't go back. Yeah, there is no going back. A wave can't go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Yeah, can't happen. But it can seem like that in the perception of the individual.
Mm-hmm.
You think you've lost something, but you haven't. Anyway, getting to the question. Okay, so you have gone down a certain road of cultivation, whatever that meant to you at the time, and you have had a wonderful experience and insight, and it has caused you to awaken from the dream that you are having. You thought all of these things were real and meaningful and important to you, and then suddenly you wake up and you're now looking at all of these things from a new perspective. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do now? Then what? Do whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Ultimately, it's up to you. You could. Oh, okay. Let's say you're dealing with a little bit of confusion. You've woken up and now you don't know what to do with yourself. Well, rather than go down the road of becoming dependent on somebody else to tell you what to do. Okay, there's multiple things I can say here. Let me just finish that first. Hopefully I remember before all the things that are coming up at the same time. Rather than go and turn towards another person, asking them, what should I do, what to do? Because you can do that if you want to. And if you do that, go and maybe pick a school that you perceive to be much deeper and have a conversation, even if it's just one. Have a conversation with somebody who you perceive to be deeper than yourself. Okay, great. You'll get a lot from that. That's fine. If you don't do that, though, and this is where it reveals something else. So if you've woken up and you're confused, then you haven't hit the mark.
Mm-hmm. What about like fearful? Confused or fearful?
Same. If you have woken up from a spiritual awakening confused, what does that say about your spiritual awakening? That's not a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Spiritual awakening is absolute clarity. No doubt. No confusion. Witness of confusion. If there is confusion in the brain temporarily because it doesn't have the answer to a question, one witnesses that. There's no identification with it. The momentum of all atomic structures of the cosmos, you are witness to that. The ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, the revolving door of creation. You are witness to that. So there's no more questions with regards to what this is. And there's no other authority anymore. There's no one coming to save you. There's no one coming to change the situation. You are it. You are everything. And so there's definitely, in that spiritual awakening, obviously the ultimate or the real spiritual awakening, there is no more confusion. So, not hoping to insult anyone here, or hoping not to insult anyone, but obviously, if what you perceive to be a spiritual awakening has happened within you, and you have been left very confused, then you have a much deeper spiritual awakening still to come.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it. So, okay, if you're confused about, well, how do I cultivate that kind of spiritual awakening?
Yeah, how do I go deeper?
Reach out to a teacher or a guide if you need to, somebody you trust, somebody you feel like you can have a conversation with, who you think knows their stuff. And any sincere teacher will just introduce you to literally what we already introduced you to today.
Mm-hmm.
The now. How's your relationship with the now going?
Mm-hmm.
Are you intimate? Are you connected? Is there fear? Are there barriers? Is there anything we can help you get out of the way so that you can relax back into it? And the answer to your question, a lot of guides, like the deep guides, they don't like to answer your questions because they don't want you to become dependent on them answering your questions.
Mm-hmm.
So they will answer them in a way that's still kind of mysterious. And it's like, you know, you're never going to fully get to the bottom of any of this unless you go into it yourself. So I'm happy to have a conversation with you, but let's talk about, do you know how to look into now? Because that's where you're going to get home. Yeah. And that's nothing to do with me. I'm not responsible for that. You are. That's you and God. That's you and your own heart, in communion with your own heart. So, okay, we'll talk about the ideas you've got and the theories you've got, but let's definitely also make sure that you're very clear on what to do. You know how to meditate? Because that's primary. Number one essential. Know how to meditate. And then from there, you know, so you just reach out if you're confused and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Either look within, uncover the answer for yourself within, if you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, ask somebody to help you to learn how to look within. And once you're looking within and you're clear on that, go and look within for a long time. If you hit a barrier or you get confused and there's something you can't get over, go back to your guide. They're there to help you, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So that just kind of circles back to operation awareness, like what you're doing day to day.
Right.
Cultivating your energy, cultivating your awakening.
There are very real and clear signposts along the way. Things that happen to you on the mystical journey, the process, that happens to everyone. And anyone who's been through the process knows those experiences personally. And so they can ask you certain questions that will determine whether or not you've hit this point or that point, or are you really far ahead, or are you just beginning and you think you're really far ahead. They can identify that because they've been there before. They've been through it. They've gotten stuck at every point you can get stuck at. And then they got over it at some point. They broke through. So they're not here to control you, to dominate you. You don't follow them. They're a friend and a guide, and you bounce your position off them. Okay, this is where I think I'm at. These are the kinds of experiences I'm having. And I don't really know how to go beyond them. Can you offer me any instruction or pointers? And they'll just serve you. They're here to help.
So we've had someone come to us who is experiencing a really...
Come to me. Sorry. Come to me.
A really...
I don't know what that's from. But...
I don't know what it's from. Just make this stuff up on the go. So we've got someone who's come to us who's experiencing problems or issues with their relationship with themselves.
Okay.
So they're experiencing things like low self-worth, judgment towards themselves, negative thoughts towards themselves.
Okay.
And I imagine...
Cruel.
I have my own...
Why do that to yourself?
I don't know. Why do we do that to ourselves? But I do it to myself, and I know there's many people out there.
Stop it right now.
So much easier said than done.
Okay. Sure.
There's lots of people out there that would be having a lot of problems with this. Basically just the way we're conditioned and the way we're programmed. Can we talk about our relationship with self?
Yes.
Thank you.
We can.
Go into it.
Okay. Well, it's tremendously deep. Self. You could begin in a number of places with it, but this person, so the self is not what's in your head. True self. The self, meaning what is alive here? What is alive? Having the experience of being. Because that self is not limited to one body. That is the force that gives rise to all of life. So it's important to discern, because people get very confused over what the self is. So you hear about this term, true self, the self, with a capital S. That is the entire range of life, all of life, unfolding in the now. It doesn't have any problems. It never has. And it never will. But as a being, or let's just talk about human beings. As a human being, At this moment, in the current level of evolution of the human entity, the human species, we are dealing with an illusory self,
Mm-hmm.
the ego, the identity that comes along with the body. It's only inside the brain. That's all it is, and it's rampantly out of control in basically everyone.
Yeah.
Right? It's gone way too far. It's it's suffering on so many levels. It's struggling on so many levels, and that's what Operation Awareness is here to help with.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's try and keep it streamlined because it's just so vast.
Yeah.
This exploration, it's so vast. It covers everything. We have a conversation about everything. We'll be here forever. So, this person is struggling with the self-identity internally, the relationship they're having with themselves. Okay. I'm just going to keep it really simple.
Yep.
Okay. As you step out, as you learn to step out of the illusory identity inside the brain and re-synchronize with awareness, true self, true identity, true presence, there is a remembering that you are not the body, and you are not the thoughts, you are not the contents of the psychology. You are the whole of life, and the whole of life is unfolding as one. So we are the same. We have always been the same. We will always be the same thing. Life. That's obviously the ultimate perspective. So the relationship with self means, on that level, means you are fully aware of what you are and what you are not.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what you are not, there's probably a better way to phrase that, because you are everything. Everything has arisen within you, your own consciousness, the consciousness of life itself. Obviously, everything has arisen within that. So everything is an expression of you. But there are like lots of little bits of you. If you're looking through the body, there's trees and animals and oceans and humans and different humans, male ones, female ones. You know, it's all fragmented when you look at it from that point of view. So the true relationship with the self, the ultimate interpretation of that statement is that you are aware. You are awareness, you are aware, and you are aware of all of the movements of life, which contain, the movements of life also contain lots of little illusory identities, lots of forms, lots of apparently individual forms. And inside the body of the one that you are most closely associated with at the moment, the one you're looking through, has its own ego, false identity with memories and a name. People call it a name and labels. And so, from the truest perspective, you have a relationship with that body. As awareness, you are occupying that body, you are moving it, you are flowing through it, you are using it to experience what it's like down here on this earth at this time. And the body has conditioning, it has experienced the past, it has memories of a past, it came from a certain family, a certain country, etc., etc. But that isn't what you really are. So that should be your relationship with yourself, the body, the psychology. Now, let's say it suffers tremendously, the psychology of this body. By the way, that is what your relationship is. Whether you know it or not, that's what you are. You are the awareness that's aware of that. If it's tremendously suffering, then you're aware of that. But if the experience of the body is one of great freedom and great happiness and joy, you'll be aware of that too. It's still not you, though. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we're kind of deviating a bit unnecessarily. So let's bring it back. If yourself is tremendously suffering, this identity that you have, this personality that you have is tremendously suffering, you've been in there too long. And it's not your fault that it's suffering. Because of the current state of human evolution at this point on this planet, everyone is dealing with this collective wrong identity. Mm-hmm. And society not only was built by that, it supports it, it encourages fragmentation and individualization, apparent individualization. encouraging you to be yourself, be an individual, you know, etc., chase profit and greed and aspire to all of these kind of self-interests. And so the result of that is that you become, as the awareness of life, you become totally confined to that identity, which must be sustained in order to sustain the current model of economy. So what we've got is everyone's stuck in their head. Everyone's stuck in their head. You've been in there too long, and it turns into an absolute nightmare the longer you're in there.
Yeah.
Because what you really are is the spirit of life itself. Now imagine being a wonderfully boundless, powerful spirit without form that is everywhere all at once and free to experience life in all capacities. Imagine taking that, God, and confining it to a little box and saying, do what you're told. It's going to freak out. Maybe not straight away. Maybe it's only been in there for a little while and it thinks it's kind of fun. But if it can't get out, it's confined to a cell. It's stuck in prison. It's imprisoned in the brain.
You'll crush it.
And so it becomes miserable. That confinement is full of despair and it starts to want out. What that translates to is an ending of the life. It wants out. And so then the entity, the individual, starts to experience suicidal tendencies in their psychology. Because the psychology is not the master, the spirit is the master. The spirit will get out if it wants out. So the trick is, through identifying, truly re-identifying with awareness, knowing that you have this body and you are the boss, awareness is the master, and the job of the body and the job of the psychology, therefore the job of the ego, is to serve you, the spirit of life, and to allow you to live without limitation, boundlessly, freely, in love with yourself, because you are everywhere, in total connection, total absorption with life, without authority ruling over you. Anyway, that's maybe a different subject. But
relevant.
So this person is deeply suffering. Their relationship with their self has gone haywire. They don't like themselves. They are very negative to themselves, very judgmental, because they're trying to aspire to some false standard that society has imposed on them that they don't even realize that's what's happening. And it's screwing up their relationships. It's screwing up their ability to be happy. They're in a mess. Okay. Fantastic place to be.
Yeah.
To recognize that that's where you are, but admit it. Don't deny it. Admit it. Because when you can admit that you're miserable and that you've been suffering very deeply, or that you're very confused, or that you've tried all of these alternate ways of cultivation and none of them have worked, admit it. Embrace that. And from there, you can begin to turn towards something truly real. And so it depends on the specific flavor of the person's suffering, why their relation or how their relationship with their self is so bad, because it's varying degrees for different people. Some people are extremely far gone. Some people have been very far gone from a while, but are on medications and taking substances. Other people, they just have a bit of confusion, you know? So you kind of really need to know the specifics of it. Did we answer the question there at all? Do we want to go deeper into that? Is there anything you think is more important and more specific to address? Because it's so vast.
Well, you know, we're all experiencing these problems, as you said earlier, with like the state of the world, with where it's at, the state of human evolution. How do we deepen our relationship with ourselves? How do we begin to work on that relationship?
Be with it. So whatever it is that you take yourself to be, that's where you have to start. You think you're the body. Okay, well, you're not, but that's what you think for now. You think you're the psychology. Same, you're not really. But whatever you take yourself to be with it. Spend time really intimate with it. Get to know it very well. Eventually, through this process, a realization of awareness as witness occurs, takes place in the consciousness. There is a sudden recognition that actually all of this psychology and body there's a gap between me, what I really am, and so the true identity. There's a space between that and the body and the thoughts and the psychology. Okay, great. So that's Once that's witnessed, now sit in the space, sit with the space. And suddenly one sees all of the momentum and the movements and the ups and downs of the psychology and how the psychology is interdependent with the current state of the economy. That's when you see, okay, I didn't put that there actually. That's conditioning of life unfolding. That's wonderful and perfect, and it's evolving. But with this space, there comes a recognition that as awareness, I can love this. I can embrace it fully. When I was stuck in the psychology and the body and I thought that was me, it was horrible. I thought I was going to die. It was terrifying. And it was also full of conflict because there's so many different kinds of people, so many different views. You might say something and someone else wants to fight you and attack you. Anyway, there's a lot of threat and danger in the body. But as one recognizes awareness and one realizes I have the power to completely love this self and to fully embrace it, and the body may experience various transformations of suffering and joy and happinesses, and I can be there for all of that, and I love it, and I hold it, and I welcome it. It's my best friend.
I take care of it.
I take care of it. And so when a person is confined to the body and their psychology and it's a mess, their relationship with their self is actually unreal. They don't have the right view. They don't have the right position in the relationship with self. Truly, it's caught up in the lie.
Caught up in a lie.
It's blinded by the lie of the false identity. So when you're in that reflects everywhere in your life. That's the way that determines the way that you talk, the things that you say, the way that you treat other people. It's all determined by you and the way you're operating within yourself. When you come back to this awareness and you're familiar with this because you've cultivated it over an extended period of time, you're experienced in it, suddenly this total embrace of yourself, if you want to call it that, your body, the body that's closest to you, and the psychology, and how you love that, and how you welcome it, and how you help it, and how you evolve it, because you do that intentionally. You recognize the capacity of the body you're in, you see its conditioning, you see its abilities, you see its weaknesses, you help it evolve through that. That extends outward into the world around you, and suddenly you become a force for love, in real love and evolution in the people, in the lives of the people around you. Okay, so there's no issue with relationship with self from that point on. I mean, if you don't have clarity, the kind of clarity that brings peace and relaxation and detachment from suffering, one that essentially frees you from the pain and the confusion of the individual body. If you're carrying all of that with you, then that's what you're bringing to your relationships.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's kind of obvious how that will impact. It will manifest as fear, anxiety, controlling behaviors, deceptions, manipulations, coercions.
Just a situation no one wants to be in.
Right. They can be very subtle. Sometimes you don't even know they're happening. But it's inevitable that because you're not the body and because you're not the psychology, if anywhere, under any circumstances, you believe it to be you, there's a corruption in your experience because it's not you. That's a lie. So if your experience of this life is based through the view that you're an individual human being and that you're in control, it's going to turn out probably not quite how you expected in some way or another. And the result of that will always be confusion to some degree, which is why, unfortunately, and this is one thing that a lot of people don't like to admit, when it comes to this is one thing a lot of people don't like to admit, and this is one of the things that gets most people most stuck, is that you have to go all the way with this awakening. You can't just wake up a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got to wake up all the way. Because if you don't see completely through the illusion of life, all the way through to the origin, you get caught out again somewhere. If you don't know how to go home, You're always going to feel like you're a little bit lost.
Mm-hmm.
When you go home just once, you realize home doesn't go anywhere. It's you. You venture forth into a body and go off having a grand experience in the world. But home doesn't go anywhere, and you know how to get there. No matter what body you're in, no matter where you end up, the same home is always there for you. Same heart waiting for you, beating for you. It hasn't gone anywhere. Can't go anywhere. And just welcomes you back home with open heart, pure love. Come back. Come home. When you know that, you're free. Enter into a body, exit a body. Immortal. The immortal heart of life. Forever beating. So if you don't contact that, and contact isn't a great word, but it's a good enough word. There is no word that fully sums it up, but contact is a great one. If you don't make contact with that undeniable, unlosable, inescapable, immortal, wonderful, loving, powerful heart of life itself, the source, you always end up a little bit lost if you don't go all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how, what was the question you asked? How not having a real relationship with yourself could impact
your life and the people around
in
you.
every possible way imaginable,
Yeah.
essentially.
Okay. Cool. I don't really have anything else to say to that. That's so deep. I don't.
Well, it is deep.
Yeah.
It's tremendously deep, and that's why it's very important. And this is probably one of the things that needs to be considered more in community, in conversation, as to why this phenomenon of shallow spirituality exists.
Mm-hmm.
And for people to be aware that that's not it.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine. You think about walking into the ocean. You've been living on the shore, on the land. You want to go deep. How do you get there? You've got to walk through the shallows. But don't stop at the shallows thinking that that's the depth. That's what children do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they've gone up to their waist this time. Look how deep I am, Mom, you know. Okay, keep going. Okay, you're a child. Don't go there yet. Grow up a bit. Spend time in the shallows. Get to know that.
Learn to swim.
But don't mistake the shallows for the depths.
Mm-hmm.
In the shallows, there are lots of people that you can play with and have relationships with and connect with. When you go deep, there are less people out there. Not many people go deep. But, you know, okay, so when you start to go deep, you've got to be prepared to be more alone internally, more inward, more aware of the depths. Because the way you operate in the depths is not the way that you operate in the shallows. And part of the reason why more and more people now are beginning to consider the depths as a potential, they've lost hope in the shallows, is because the shallows are getting overcrowded and the insanity is becoming obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And the insanity of the world, you know, great analogy this, because not many people have even been playing in the shallows up to now.
Yeah.
In the shallows up to now. But there's a huge fire on the land. Shit's going down on the land too. So now more and more people are running to the ocean. Shit, what do we do? It's burning. Shit, society's going nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all coming to the shallows. So now the people who've been in the shallows for a while are kind of being pushed more towards the depths. So it's wonderful and it's great. But yes, the depths have their way. And so to know the way of the depths is important, to make sure you don't drown, make sure you know what to do. And there are others out there, they're just far more rare.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that are out there love being alone, because out there's no one around to cause chaos.
No chaos.
And occasionally they bump into each other along the way. Mystics, how's it going? Stupid question. Same. So anyway, the shallows operate differently from the depths. I forgot the question.
I think you kind of went there on your own.
Oh, good.
Good.
Right.
Nice one.
Now what? Right now out there watching this video, I don't know, I'm just going to pick a random number. But actually, I won't even use a number. There are human beings wonderful human beings with so much potential to cultivate a wonderful and magnificent life for all of us. Is there anything you would like to say to those people? Or anything you would like to express? For them, they're real, they're out there. It's not just me and you. I know it seems like that a lot of the time.
Yeah.
We have another guy coming to stay with us now full time, serious student. It's brilliant. And they're real people. It's wonderful, isn't it? Like it's kind of a very fascinating thing to contemplate, that there are real other cultivators out there.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you would like to say to them?
I guess just reach out and connect. Like, this path can feel like a very lonely path. It is a very lonely path because you have to walk it yourself. But it feels a lot less lonely when you connect with other people who are walking the path alone as well. And just that, yeah, you don't have
Sharing aloneness.
sharing the aloneness. I think something that you said to me once was, you know, there is only one life. Life is actually alone in itself. So
There is no other.
yeah, we're all one actually. We're all alone together. So being alone
Right.
together.
So no need for conflict, no need for war.
No.
That's such a really wonderful principle to drill into, because the realization of oneness ends, absolutely, definitely ends the cause of war.
Yeah. How
You
could
will
you let
not.
someone hurt
When you
that
are-
person is you?
Right, when you are totally in love within yourself, which means as one, you could not possibly dream of hurting the other person. You wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Yeah.
You just love them.
So I asked that question earlier about how does having a bad relationship with self affect your world around
That's
you and
obvious.
your relationship?
Right, that's
It's
the
like,
cause of war.
okay, well, when
Leads
you
to
have
war.
a relationship with yourself, when you're in love with yourself and you know the truth, how does that affect your relationships and the world around you?
They're the opposite direction.
Yeah.
You're in love with yourself, meaning all of life is you and you love it.
Mm-hmm.
You are it. But currently, our experience of life here is one that is not dominated by truth. It is rather, when I say our, I mean the collective society at large, because our life is dominated by truth and love, spirituality. It's why we tend to isolate ourselves from the modern population, because as more people begin to turn towards spirituality, it will shift. We won't need to be so disconnected from them, because it'll be wonderful to be here. But when you have established systems of control and isolation, imposed authority, and insane pursuit of material elements, resources, properties, finances, war, warmongering, when that's driving the economy, which is the result of a very bad relationship with the self.
Mm-hmm.
You want to kill it and destroy it.
Yeah.
We're not going there, thank you very much. No, we refuse. We're not doing it. You go there. We wish you wouldn't, but we're not going there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it leads. If your relationship with yourself becomes one of complete horror, hatred, destruction, self-destruction is where it leads. One attacking itself, one attacking another, which is really itself, obviously. The opposite side to that is they come together. As opposed to destroying each other, they come together in love and support and help, which is the heart of the mystic society, which could be called a love-based economy, which is beautiful and wonderful. And there's no question, there's no doubt about attacking anyone or having to defend yourself against anyone, because we're all on the same page. We're all here in the exact same boat, as the exact same life, wanting nothing but a better, more happy, more free, tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
for all of us. Great.
Yeah.
What's holding us back?
Let's go.
Nothing, right? Nothing. But, and at some point in this tremendously wonderful adventure here on YouTube, there will come a time where each individual will realize that it's up to you. Nobody's doing this for you. Nobody in any kind of current position of power in this modern society is going to help. They're all, okay, I need to be a little bit careful here. We need to assume that they're going in the wrong direction towards total destruction. They can't help us anymore. We're going in a different direction. Many of us first got our real, okay, let's just say many of us first got
Wake up call.
a big insight into this during the recent global event that took place around the whole planet, because we didn't want to subscribe and submit, and so we were outcast and left alone. And we're fine. We love it. We were so happy. But what it reveals to us is the society showed us its cards. And many of us had this kind of inclination, but it had never really hit us. It had never really, we'd never really seen it materialize in such a drastic way.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, the majority of society currently has fully embraced that iron fist and tried to continue the stranglehold. And so anyway, each individual beings will at some point come to the realization that we need each other. It's up to us here to forge a different way of being, a different way of living, and we're doing it. We do it with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We will do it with you. We will do it in communion, in relationship, together. There is no danger. There is no threat. There is no problem. We are here to support each other, love each other. All of the resources that we have for each other to share and help tomorrow be a better place
Evolve together
than today.
Mm-hmm.
All right? That's it. That's it. It's simple as. But at some point, it takes the individual to fully accept responsibility for my future, for its own future. What I do today cultivates tomorrow. It is my responsibility to be such a master of myself that I can absolutely guarantee that if there is going to be a tomorrow in this body, it's going to be wonderful, because I will make it so, and we will make it so together.
Mm-hmm.
So the individual has to take that responsibility and then reach out a hand and hold the hand of the neighbor. Let's do this together. We'll watch each other's back. It's so obvious and it's so clear. There is no question around how to do this. It's obvious. But a great force of this modern economy isn't thinking about this, isn't concerned with this. In fact, doesn't even really want you thinking about it. But that's a conversation for another day. Ladies and gentlemen, are we done?
We are done. We've got a dog poking his head in.
It's dinner
for
time.
Dinner time.
Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.
You were supposed to say that bit.
Was I?
Maybe.
Hello, darling.